And welcome to a new episode of PR360. And I'm your host, Brett Dystry. Please subscribe to PR360 on all of your favorite podcasting hosting sites. Leave a 5-star review if you please. It would help greatly. But this week I have Momina with me, and we're going to be talking about email newsletter, blog post, I call them the dinosaur content because they've been around longer than a lot of the newer stuff that's been around. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff. Plus, a little bit about her is that she has been doing this or doing content marketing for about 2 years. She decided to go full freelance. So she's a freelancer in January of 2022. And she's worked with several different other companies, including Mod Dash, Copy AI, and she has decided to work full time with Mail Munch. So it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for such a nice introduction.
You're welcome. The first question I ask all my guests is, are you a coffee or tea drinker?
In true South Asian fashion, I'm properly obsessed with tea. So yeah, I do like an occasional black coffee, but on most days, I just rely on tea to perform basic tasks.
Nice. Do you have any type of favorite teas that you like specifically?
Oh, so what we call here is like a truck driver's tea. So it's like properly strong. And you boil the milk and water with tea leaves. So that's how you make it in South Asia, basically, or at least here in Pakistan. Yeah, and then you just let it simmer and make it, depending on how strong you want, you just let it. Yeah, you just the color and the taste depends on how strong you want. So I like a very strong tea. So I just let it simmer for like 10 minutes at least.
Nice. I mean, hey, it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, if you love it that way. I just never heard of it. It's called a truck driver tea. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, because normally truck drivers have to like remain awake during the night travels. So they just,
Oh, okay.
they drink that tea to just, remain awake.
All right. So strong tea is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. All right. I gave a brief introduction to you, but can you summarize your expertise to our guests? Listeners, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started writing back in about 6 years ago, and during my bachelor's, I just started as a freelance writer, and after graduation, I got a job as a writer in a tech company, and from there I grew from a writer to a content marketer, and in my last startup, Meal Munch, I was leading content, email, and social media marketing efforts. And then in January of 2022, as you mentioned, I decided to go full time freelance. And as a freelancer, my expertise is in long form and research backed and product led content. And I also do email copy, especially welcome series or other, email nurture series. But mostly my focus is on long form content. And so far, I've worked with companies including Copy AI, Direct Link, Modash, and Grain.
Nice. And getting to our main thing is that long form content or blogs, they feel a little bit more like the dinosaurs of the web because they've been around for so long. So is it still an excellent strategy to create blog posts in 2022, or should we, as everybody else has been saying for a while, just focus on video?
I hear you. And, let me just pull up some real stats, real quick. And according to a recent study by DataBox, about 68% of marketers think long form blog posts are more effective now than they were even effective 2 years ago. So I just think that, and as a long form content writer, and basically my entire, career depends on long form blogs, I actually agree because I see companies investing in long form blogs and getting huge ROI in terms of web traffic and signups and brand awareness. So, at one hand, I do think that it's an excellent strategy to create blog posts, but I also think that writing blog posts for the sake of appeasing to the SEO gods is outdated because a blog that blogs, long form content that work and that is talked about and shared everywhere. Those are the ones that have original research and expert insights, input from subject matter expertise, and are written with the audience in mind and not the SEO in mind. So I understand where the dinosaur content, comes from, but I still think that when done right, long form blog posts are an excellent strategy to drive traffic, to increase your brand awareness, and to increase signups and conversion rate.
Gotcha. And for putting all these blog posts, should businesses focus on maybe like LinkedIn? Should they do their own website? Like, where's the best place to utilize blog posts or even Medium to utilize these blog posts?
Yeah, I see that debate all the time, on social media as well. That whether you should post your content on LinkedIn or Medium, and because a lot of companies, or especially if you have a personal blog, you already have a following on these social media platforms. So, but I still think that your website is your property, and you own how it looks, you own the user experience and all the content on it. But with platforms like LinkedIn or Medium, you don't know when the next algorithm update is going to disrupt your entire strategy for that platform. So yeah, so in my opinion, a great workaround is to post blogs on your website, and then post excerpts of it on Medium and LinkedIn. So what you can do is you can just post maybe some of the key tips or key ideas on Medium, and then link back to the original blog, and just inside the reader to go back to your website to read the whole blog. So this way you do it all. You can constantly you post something on your social media platform, as well as regularly update your blog.
Mm. And for these blog posts, could you repurpose, like, let's say, podcast or video to actually help with that as well? Can you make blog posts more a little bit more multifaceted with other content as well to make them more long tail as well?
Yeah, I think content repurposing is gaining, the idea of content repurposing is gaining popularity, and it's about time, because I hear and I when people or when companies reach out to me to create content, I hear brands complain about creating so much content, and the need for content for different platforms with limited resources. But if you spend just or if you look at an example, you spend about 2 or 4 a week maybe, writing a blog that's filled with unique ideas and original research and expert interviews, and then you talk to subject matter experts, or to create a proper research filled and a blog post. And now you can repurpose this blog post into an email newsletter, at least 5 to 6 social media posts, even a Twitter thread. And then you can use the expert interviews and turn them into a case study. You can also convert it into a gated asset like a white paper or an ebook. So with a really well done long form blog, you have so many options when it comes to repurposing it. And it's, I think, in my opinion, it's the same case with podcasts and videos, because you spend all the time creating that video, and now you have original and content that you can just write a blog on it. And in my one tip that I'll give is that make sure to add some more content when you're repurposing your video to a blog post. Make sure that you add some more content that's not discussed in the video, so that you can your blog post content is more unique, so people will be more compelled to click on that blog and read more. And then you can create social media snippets from the video. You can add quotes from the video to your social media. You can share expert insights with your social media followers. So yeah, content repurposing is super fun, because it gives you so much space to be creative, so much space to experiment a lot. And yeah, and it also helps you with helps you when the company with limited resources and the need for so much content for so many different platforms.
Gotcha. And then, I mean, with that, do we see more blog posts becoming, I don't know, maybe a little bit more longer? Are we going to see a little bit more shorter? Are we going to see like differentiations? And then on blog posts, because I mean, there's long form But should we see also short form, kind of like the videos that we're seeing with short form and long form? Should we see like that type of dynamic with blog posts, or should all blog posts just be very long tail, very long form type of written content?
So I've seen it work both ways, and I've seen it deliver results both ways. So for a company that I currently write content for, Direct Link, they focus on both type of content. And normally, they because they're very clear in their goal of creating value. So they say if a blog post, is suppose okay. So one of the examples of their blog post is direct marketing, digital marketing explained in 500 words or less. So that blog post literally just is 500 words blog post, and that's like a short form content. And I've seen that work, and I've seen that create because their goal is to create content to educate new marketers or small business owners who are marketing for their own businesses. And that particular blog that I'm discussing, there's just 500 words. And an example of a short form content is just does the job and so I just think it totally depends on what your end goal is for that content piece. And if yeah.
All right. And how do you get started with like figuring out how to write blog posts? Because I think the hardest part is like, oh yeah, we want to write blogs, but what do I write about? Do you have any tips or strategies, or maybe even AI writers or anything like that that helps you with creating these ideas? Because I feel like that part is where a lot of people stop because they're like, I don't know what to write now.
Um, I think it totally depends on whether you're writing for your personal blog or whether you're writing for a company blog. So, if you're writing for a company, obviously you stick to what your audience is searching for and what what your topic is and what you want to rank for and stuff like that. And when it's your personal blog, uh, so I don't have a personal blog per se, but I do have a Medium account that I sometimes, not regularly, but sometimes post on. And most of the content on it is based around mental health and wellness, because that is something that I'm interested in, I'm passionate about, and most importantly, that is something that I want. Industry, I want more clients in. So I feel like with your personal blog, you can you have a as a freelance writer with your personal blog, you have a really good space to create your portfolio and to showcase your skills as a writer.
Gotcha. And then moving on to email newsletters, that's also been around for quite a while. So, how important is it for brands or even freelancers to build that list? Because, I mean, we've all heard like be on TikTok, be on all this, and we kind of forget about emails, even though it feels like it's still extremely important. So, how important is it for people to build that list?
Yeah, I think when you're starting out, especially as a business, I think email is one of the most important things you have to focus on. I think it does vary a little bit for freelancers, but for brands, email is one of the most important mediums through which they can connect with their customers in a more creative and more personalized way. And from company updates and promotional emails to newsletters, brands can use emails for literally every kind of communication with their customers. And then obviously email marketing helps you get your audience get back to your website or landing page, or increase your signups or your demo calls or whatever your end goal is with that particular email. And I, again, like we discussed before, um, with social media or with, like you mentioned, with TikTok, you're creating content on rented land, and you don't have a say in how these platforms work and how your brand shows up in your audience's feed. With just a very recent example with Instagram, and the numerous changes they have been doing to their platform, and the outrage from the audience, and resulting in, because of the decreased reach and engagement. So I think with an email list, you have the creative control of how your content looks like, how your content ends up in your audience's inbox, and what to add, what to remove, how the user experience, the type of content. So again, I think it's very important for, as a brand, I think it's very important for you to have a dedicated email list so you can communicate with your audience the way you want to.
Gotcha. And then, I mean, what type of content is the most engaging for a newsletter? Is it basically all written form? Is it a mixture of video, written form, and maybe audio? Like, how do you get the most engagement out of your newsletter?
Oh, I think it depends on your audience. This is such a boring answer because, but everything in marketing does, it depends on your audience. Because I have seen newsletters that work that are extremely long form, like 1,000 words newsletters, and then I've seen newsletters with, and they just send a couple of images and a couple of social media post links, and those are very popular as well. So I think it at the end of the day, it depends on creating the content that your audience actually wants to read and what they've signed up for. So for example, if they have subscribed to a newsletter about marketing insights, and you're sharing everything but original marketing insights, I think that your newsletter is going to be in trouble. So I also think that, okay, in my personal opinion, I think the best newsletters are short and sweet, because I don't like to, I don't like to read long newsletters, and because I just stop paying attention in the middle of it. But I also think that some of the best newsletters are long form newsletters. This is a shout out to Anne Hanley's newsletter, and that's a long newsletter that but I do read it to the end because it's interesting. It's full of valuable content, and it's filled with actionable insights. Another great thing I think that you can do with your newsletters is to divide it into several sections. So another shout out is Amanda Natividad has a great newsletter, The Menu. It's divided in sections, and those sections appear in every every edition of the newsletter. And I look forward to those sections. Some of them, she has a section for a recipe, and she has other sections as well. So I look forward to those as well. So I think with sections, you can not only divide and create more digestible content in each section, but you can also add some more fun to your newsletter as well.
Nice. So, I mean, is there any types of stats you should look for when you're trying to test out maybe long and short? Should you be looking more at the retention or how long people stay on there? Like, what type of stats should you be looking at to make sure you're doing the most, I guess, optimal newsletter for your audience?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think you can check out the stats for the links that you add in your newsletter, because if people are just scrolling by and they're not even reading, so of course they're not going to be opening those links then. And I also think that yeah, I think that you can also ask for engagement at the end. So a direct link does a great thing where they add a quiz to every newsletter, and then they do add the answer at the end, but you can do some fun things like you'll get the answer in the next edition or something like that. And then see if people are actually reading that section, or if people are actually scrolling by to read till the end. Yeah, I think those are what come to mind right now.
Got you. And then even more the topic of titles, because titles are important for open rates. Is there any type of like strategy for getting the highest open rate you can? Because that's the most important to get them to actually read your newsletter, is to look at, oh, maybe I should read this. So do you have any tips or tricks to actually get the best outcome for that?
Um, okay, so Kaylee Moore does an interesting work with her subject lines, and what she does is just inspire curiosity. And I remember, I think one of the one of the newsletter subject line that I received was something around, I don't exactly remember, but something around uh, would you like to work with me, or would you like a collaboration, or something like that. So I immediately clicked on the email and opened it. And not that I don't open her newsletters because they're that good, but that particular subject line, it immediately increased my curiosity. And I was like, is this like an opportunity to work together, or what is it? What's the email about? So I think if you can, with those limited amount of words, if you can increase the curiosity and actually make your audience interested in what you have to say, but keeping it relevant and keeping it not spammy. So I think yeah, I think that's a great formula to write a good subject line.
So the curiosity mystery factor is what will help for the most part. I mean, I don't think you can do it all the time, but figuring out ways to bring the curiosity into your titles.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's important to just you can also just stick to making it as simple as possible. I remember seeing this on Twitter, or maybe in one of the newsletters that I subscribe to, that one of the ways you can just increase your subject lines is by just letting them know what to expect in the newsletter, instead of being sassy, or instead of being very witty. You can just let them know with a very simple explanation of what to expect in the newsletter, and that way they will open it, because they have obviously subscribed to your newsletter because they want to hear from you. So just keep it simple, just keep it straightforward, and just let them know what the newsletter is all about.
All right. And do you think there will be anything that will replace blog posts or newsletters in the future, or do you think that we've got the perfect medium with these two? Like, there's nothing else that can actually really truly replace them?
That's a tricky question, because I do think that there can be and there will be other platforms, that offer a more different and unique experience. But at the same time, I think that nothing can replace email newsletters or blog posts. Because the personalization and creativity you get from email newsletters is something you just can't get from social media or other platforms. Even when comparing, your an email newsletter to a Twitter or TikTok, I just don't think that the content you get from an email newsletter and the direct communication a brand can have with their audience, which kind of personalized based on that audience behavior. I don't think you can get from other platforms. And similarly, in my experience so far, I've written long form content for companies, and people are hungry for good, unique, and value packed long form content. And they want to read blog, and they will read long form content. It's not like they won't read it, or they will just skim past it. If it's actionable, if it answers all of their questions on a topic, and if it's, if it has valuable insights rather than just fluff, people will read long form blogs. And I don't think that it's that kind of content or that kind of platform is easily replaceable.
Nice. And then, hot take for you: what is your pet peeves in newsletters? What do you hate when you look at a newsletter? You're like, I just don't like this. Why are you doing this to me? What's your pet peeves?
Okay, so I'm like notorious for unsubscribing to newsletters very easily, because yeah, because I get annoyed if they. So I absolutely hate newsletters that are blocks after blocks of text, and if you don't have a good, if you don't provide me a good user experience, and if you don't have a good email newsletter design, I can't read them, and I just get diverted easily. So I'll just unsubscribe, because there's no point in just uh, I don't appreciate anything that results in me not having inbox zero. So I just unsubscribe very easily. So, and I also hate when newsletters don't have anything unique. And I have subscribed to, in the past, I've subscribed to newsletters that will just give me the most generic information, like content is king, or be more human in your marketing, and will just be a repurpose of some other blog. And that is something that I just, it's annoying, and it's you don't want to waste your time reading the same stuff. So if a newsletter is stating something that's very obvious without giving me any actionable tips on how to do that, I'm just going to hit that unsubscribe button, because I get my daily dose of that type of thought leadership from Twitter already. So I don't want that in my inbox.
Gotcha. So for you all out there, don't be boring or unoriginal.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be boring or unoriginal.
That's fair. And then, fun question for you:
Yeah.
what blog post did you wish you would have written?
Oh, so that's interesting because I don't have one specific blog post, but since I love to write for mental health companies and I haven't had a chance to do so a lot, so anything written on Calms or Headspace's blog that I really wish I'd written that, because I really want to transition towards mental health industry more, and that is something that I'm deeply passionate about. So this is also a shout out to any mental health company that is looking for your next freelance writer. You can just shoot me a DM.
All right. Well, that leads into the next question. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I am most active on Twitter, and my handle is at content by Momina. And on LinkedIn, they can just find me. They can type in my name. You can just go to my website, mominaasif.card.co, and then there are all of the links to my socials are on there. And I would love to connect with all of you.
All right. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, be kind and give yourself some grace. It's okay. Things are tough, times are tough, and it's okay to slow down a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Momina, for joining PR360 and sharing your knowledge on blog posts and email newsletters.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for listening to PR360. As always, please subscribe to PR360 on all your favorite podcasting apps. Leave a 5-star review if you liked this podcast. If not, let us know how we can do better for you. But join us next week as we talk about, or we talk with, a great thought leader in the PR industry. All right, guys, stay safe. Understand your audience with the email newsletter and get to writing those blog posts. And see you next week. Later.